We are now about 2.5 hours away from police releasing their findings on an alleged gang rape at the University of Virginia. The investigation was sparked by a now widely discredited article in Rolling Stone magazine. It came out in November. This comes as Rolling Stone says it will soon publish an external review of the editorial process surrounding that story. Joining us now, Alan Colmes. He is host of the Alan Colmes Show, nationally syndicated by Fox News Radio. Tammy Bruce is also with us, radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. Tammy, are you making any predictions about what this police investigation will announce?
Well, look, considering that Rolling Stone has already apologized, they say there are major discrepancies. There was a large discussion publicly about the problems with the article, including the fact that the writer had skipped past certain other actual rapes to get to this situation, and because, really the agenda was to go after the fraternity. There's questions about the young woman, and yet the police have had to approach this understandably as they would anything with an accusation's been made. I would think that if all is right, that they will find that there was nothing to it, but we don't know the impact of the legacy media, even on law enforcement. There is a political correctness out there that could push certain entities to wanting to see things that aren't there, but I think it's so obvious at this point what happened that we'll see at least the police report confirming what everyone believes, which is that nothing happened at that fraternity.
Let's take a look at some of the major points in that article. The claim, Alan, the first of the claims, was that the victim was gang raped at the Phi Kappa Psi frat house during a party on September 28th, 2012. Phi Kappa Psi says in a statement that it did not have a date function or a social event during the weekend of September 28th, 2012. Then we go on from there. The claim of the article is that the victim was invited to a party at that Phi Kappa Psi frat house by one of its members. In a subsequent interview, though, the victim said she did not know whether the attacker she knew actually was a member of Phi Kappa Psi. And finally, according to the article, the victim ran into one of her rapists 2 weeks after the incident at the campus pool where they both worked. But Phi Kappa Psi says none of its members worked at the pool during that time. Is this just shoddy journalism or something else?
Of course it's shoddy journalism. It's shoddy journalism, and I think that Rolling Stone is trying to do everything it can to make it right by doing an independent investigation. Clearly they've acknowledged their mistakes. The troubling part of this for me is those, particularly on the right, who try to use this as an argument that rape is not a serious issue on campuses, like Christina Hoff Sommers, who says there's no rape culture, or Rush Limbaugh says this is a bunch of malarkey, or Rich Larry, who on ABC's This Week says, well, that 1 in 5 figure of sexual assault isn't truly accurate because some of that involves forced kissing, as if that's okay. Those who are using this story and this bad journalism to prove somehow in their minds that rape is not a true issue, that's a troubling part of this for me.
But Tammy, there's also the allegation that the author in this case wanted to do that story, wanted to do a story about, a prevalence of sexual assault on college campuses, went looking for a college where she could find that story, found this one, and it's full of holes.
Well, look, I was the president of the Los Angeles chapter of NOW in the 90s. I sat on NOW's national board. Alan knows my background. Part of most of my work in my adulthood has been dealing with violence against women, rape, domestic violence, etc. And the reason I left NOW was because of the use by the left of serious social issues like violence against women to advance a political agenda, even to the point of making things up if need be. And it goes even to the narrative of the Ferguson situation of the hands up, don't shoot. It doesn't matter if it's real. They'll do it anyway if it suits them. And yes, Alan's right. In the meantime, it damages actual real people's lives, women's lives, the lives of people of color, because you've got the left now that is focused on political advancement, on political narratives. This is what they've done historically. They co-opt serious issues and then drive them into the ground. The problem is there is no genuine feminist movement in the country now, and the fact is that there is violence against women, but the legacy media is, and the Columbia University review of the Rolling Stone article is laughable. This is like the den of the place that creates these so-called journalists who simply see journalism now as a way to advance their women's issues, as a way to advance their own careers. I mean, it's really pretty awful.
To make a broad statement about the left as if they're all about trying to phony things up in order to advance an agenda, as if everybody on the left or the liberal media, quote unquote, does that.
Let me just interrupt you, though, Alan, because you talked about the right as being the ones who are trying to poo-poo this whole thing about sexual harassment and sexual assault on campus.
I can find my comments to 3 specific examples, but some of that is emblematic of a view on the right that it's not that big a deal. We hear the phrase war on women. This plays into that narrative.
Oh, yeah, because that was also artificial political. That's a perfect example, Alan, of my point. Thank you. It's the Ferguson situation that everyone now is admitting was a lie. It's the phony, quote, war on women where you artificialize the dynamics so that you can get elected to office. How are we supposed to take these issues seriously?
You had a series of Republican candidates misusing rape, saying ridiculous things about women and
so
rape.
That's a war on women by everyone on the right.
It's actually hurt the Republican Party, and Todd Aiken, for example, not getting elected. I mean, it certainly hurt the cause of the right.
Yeah, we saw that in November of last year. We saw that in November of last year.
Totally separate issue. That's
really,
because Democrats,
really injured the Republicans.
That's because Democrats didn't stand up for President Obama like they should have.
I'm not sure how we got from this article to political.
We can go all day.
Elections, but you two do a good job at it anyway. Alan Colmes, Tammy Bruce, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.